For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Republicans advanced their massive tax cut and border security package Sunday night, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, out of the Budget Committee after agreeing to changes that won tacit support from 4 conservatives who had previously blocked the bill Friday, then saying the cuts to Medicaid and other safety net programs were not deep enough to offset nearly $5 trillion in tax breaks, mostly to the wealthy. Those cuts would force between 11 and 13 million Americans off Medicaid. While details of the changes have not been released, one of 4 GOP members to initially vote no, MAGA Texas Representative Chip Roy of the Freedom Caucus, wrote on social media, the bill will now move Medicaid work requirements forward. Roy and others switched their vote from no to present Sunday. He's among other conservatives reportedly pursuing changes that could force states to end their Medicaid expansions, which would strip health care coverage from millions of more Americans. Democrat Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania blasted the vote in a statement, quote, kicking 13.7 million people off their health care apparently wasn't enough for House Republicans. The only reason this vote passed tonight is because they've plotted behind closed doors to hurt even more families while refusing to share this background deal with the American people, unquote. Another provision raising alarm in the bill would sell off public lands. Alex Gonzalez reports.
Republican Representatives Mark Amodei of Nevada and Celeste Malloy of Utah introduced a last-minute amendment to it, allowing the sale of hundreds of thousands of acres of public lands in those states. Backers say it could help address the housing shortage and reduce the deficit. Devin O'D with Backcountry Hunters and Anglers says the unpopular giveaway to energy companies and developers was timed to avoid scrutiny.
Democracy is founded on having a difference of opinion and discussing it and then voting and moving forward.
I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Israel says it will allow a minimal amount of humanitarian aid into Gaza as it launches an extensive ground operation there after a near 3-month blockade of food and warnings by global experts of impending famine. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said a starvation crisis in Gaza would jeopardize the new offensive, referencing Israel's international allies. The military campaign, dubbed Operation Gideon Chariots, seeks to indefinitely occupy Gaza and forcibly displace Palestinians to the south. A UN official says 20 aid trucks carrying mostly food are expected to go into the Gaza Strip today, but as of airtime, no aid has entered, and aid trucks that were briefly parked on the Israeli side of a border crossing turned back to Israel. Meanwhile, ABC News is reporting the Trump administration is seeking to relocate 1 million Palestinians to Libya. The New York Times is reporting the same authors of a right-wing blueprint to a theocratic state the Trump administration is carrying out have also crafted a blueprint to squash dissent of Israel that the Trump administration is also pursuing. Project 2025's authors, the Heritage Foundation, also wrote Project Esther, a 44-page blueprint to silence dissent that's already played out since Trump's inauguration. It calls for limiting curriculum, discrediting professors, deporting dissidents, and cutting university funds. Much of it written by Christian conservatives, not Jewish people or organizations. The report outlines Project Esther's focus is dismantling progressive groups rather than right-wing anti-Semitic groups, suggesting conservatives and right-wing Christians are using anti-Semitism as a cover for attacking the progressive movement. President Donald Trump's planning to speak with the leaders of Russia and Ukraine today in separate phone calls to push for a ceasefire. His efforts will also include calls to NATO leaders. This after ceasefire talks between the two countries last week ended without agreement within hours. Still, both countries have committed to exchanging 1,000 prisoners each. Ukrainian officials say that could happen as early as this week. Russian authorities outlawed Amnesty International today in its latest crackdown on dissent and activists. Amnesty's now an undesirable organization, a label under a 2015 law that makes involvement with it a criminal offense. That extends to anyone sharing Amnesty International's reports on social media. The FBI has identified a 25-year-old man as a person responsible for the explosion of a Palm Springs fertility clinic Saturday. Suspect Guy Edward Bartkus of 29 Palms was attempting to live stream the bombing attack that killed him and injured 4 other people. Writings located by Bartkus indicate a belief the world should not be populated. Former President Joe Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer Friday. His office announced the diagnosis yesterday, Sunday, saying cancer cells have spread to the 82-year-old's bones. This represents a more aggressive form of the disease, but the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.